It says it's being live streamed, so should be good. So welcome everybody. I'm Sudha Jamthe. I'm here, and some of you might be seeing me on LinkedIn. Some of you might be seeing me on Twitter or on YouTube. So wherever you are, you can add a comment or question and make it as engaging as possible. And I don't seem to have much light on my face. I thought I had a lot of light here. Okay. So this is the best we've got. You don't need to see my face. We're going to switch and do a lot more screen sharing. Okay. So Sudha Live, this is our Friday happy hour, 6 o'clock here in California for me, and different places, different time zones. So I hope it's a beautiful morning in the weekend for many of you out there in Singapore, Taiwan, in Vietnam, and so many other places that you're joining from. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So this is a place where I talk about AI opportunities, but what has been running in my mind, and that tends to kind of direct me towards what I'm collecting to share with you as AI opportunities all through the week, has been a lot about limitlessness. So I usually, for those of you who are new, who are joining in, I'm Sudha Jamthe. This is Sudha Live. So you can post a question on any of the channels you're watching using #Sudha Live, SUDHA Live, one word. And I usually share jobs, events, courses, research opportunities, fellowships, that kind of thing. And I tend to gravitate towards the latest buzz in the AI world with some new launch or something, that we are pondering, maybe a new research or a study that's come. But I will get to that. So we'll do this for half an hour. You're going to get all that. But I've been thinking about limitlessness. That's my new newsletter. And my aspiration in life beyond specific jobs or teaching or mentoring or talks or anything is to make sure that we can live a limitless life and we can unleash our full potential. So I do that with my mentoring with students that, if you're one of my students from, Stanford or from Barcelona Tech or, Business School of AI, anywhere, right? But I've been thinking, when we talk about limitlessness, and technology excites me because of its limitless potential. So can we truly live a limitless life, tap into the potential of limitless technology if we do not feel limitless? And that seems like, too much and soft skills and maybe, a little bit too much optimism for the average person. So I want to bring that down to what does that mean in the technology world, in the world of AI and AI opportunities. And that's what I'm going to unravel each week. So that's my limitless newsletter. So follow me there on LinkedIn. And I'm going to share with you this month what we did at Business School of AI at weeklywed and saw amazing, inspiring speakers. And because it is March and Women's Month, we had all women lineup of speakers. And they reminded me of limitlessness, or how they are approaching their limitless potential and guiding us towards that. So that's the beginning part of what I'm going to share. 4 different speakers, 4 different lessons. All of the recording is on YouTube. And if you follow us on any of the channels, me on any of the channels on newsletter, you're going to find that anyways. Okay, but I want to show you why it is a big deal for me, why it is inspiring me. Okay. So let me go to, let's see, let's start with Tejumade. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Okay, here is Tejumade. So she was our first week speaker from weeklywed. So weeklywed is this gathering of my students who come together. And if you're new and aspiring to be in the AI space, you're welcome to join us. And it's an open forum. The only thing we ask is respect diversity and respect the thoughts and opinions of everybody, however different they are from you, whatever their background, because we have, people who are tech, non-tech, business background, UX background, totally new to AI or AV space, who come together, and a diversity of different kind of lived experiences. So first person we have here is Tejumade Afonja. And she joined us from Nigeria at this time. Currently, I believe she is in Germany.
So my name is Tejumade Afonja, and I am the co-founder and co-organizer for AI Sister Lagos. It's a community of machine learning enthusiasts, researchers, students, and many other people. We are open to a lot of people that are interested in learning about machine learning and its many variants. So what we do and what we have been doing for 3 years now is that we do cohorts. We teach people machine learning through cohorts for 16 weeks. And we've held over 6 cohorts, and we're still going strong. Over the past 3 years, we've also grown as organizers, as into researchers, and have moved from my job as a front-end developer into full-time machine learning. I'm studying now at Saarland University in Germany for my master's in computer science. Previously, I have a background in mechanical engineering, which I studied for my bachelor's. And just like Swati said, the way you move with curiosity. I would say curiosity drove me into machine learning. When I remember that I was seated in a classroom during my second year as an undergraduate, I was studying. That's like as a normal thing for students. And I remember I was in a classroom again. There was a lot of activities. So I just remember they came to have the class, their regular meeting rather. And I didn't really know about them before. It was just a coincidence that I was in the same class at the same time. So I asked if I could sit because it was such a big pain to find somewhere quiet to read. So I was just going to sit, allow them to do what they were doing. So they happened to be passing around the phone, talking about something called curiosity robots. And I was curious, just like the name. So it was about the same time that NASA had curiosity robots in space. So they passed the phone around, and it came to me. And I looked at the robots, and I'm not sure what happened. It was more like love at first sight. And I was just thinking, is it possible to build machine that can think? And that question stuck with me over my course doing machine learning, doing mechanical engineering. Even though I was studying for mechanical engineering, I kept thinking that there was something bigger. Like I wanted to expand my knowledge. I didn't want any restriction. I wanted to build machines and build intelligent systems. So that was my story. That was what drove me. And it wasn't smooth. But I guess if I have to say all of the story to take more time. So, but I just wanted to, I just really related with the idea of going with your curiosity and then moving through your career, not waiting for doors or for stars to align. I can totally relate to all of those because most of my story is around that. And also AI Sister Lagos was born as a result of the fact that I wanted to upskill myself. And there was not a lot of community doing something as rigorous as that, having classes for 16 Saturdays. So we just started it around the same time that there was this global AI Day events that happened, and we registered to organize one in our community so that we also can learn. And we continue to run that. And I've definitely learned a lot with the people with my colleagues from AI Day. I've grown into an AI researcher through that. Also had a lot of sponsors, a lot of mentors along the way who would cheer me on behind the scenes. So my story is actually very related to everything that everyone has said. So thank you so much for sharing your story as well.
Okay, so that was Tejumade Afonja, and she's a deep learning researcher. you should definitely follow her work. She's doing amazing stuff with NLP. I'm going to bring it back to a fun discussion I had with Tejumade 1 year back. I still don't have the answer for it, and I'm still pondering. And it's one of those things that is going to lead us to limitlessness, the discussion I was telling you about, tapping into the limitless potential of technology and our limitlessness. So hang in there. So I'm going to get out of this share and back to the next speaker. So in fact, if you follow along the recording from Tejumade, there are 2 other AI researchers from AI Saturdays Lagos, and they're doing their own research and making a mark on the world. It's unbelievable stuff. But I wanted to move on because what I wanted to show you is this month at Women's Day, with the Women's Month, we had 4 speakers, and Tejumade actually shows you how she got from just being curious about, hey, I'm building a mechanical device, can I make it think, which means add AI, and then to go organize AI Saturdays, which is for Lagos, which has become a supporting community, which led her to research. And she says we got together and we studied. It's not just they studied. They looked at online classes from Stanford and tried to learn as a community. They learned computer vision, NLP, machine learning. And so you have to go through one of those to see what really clicks for you. What is that, that's exciting for you? And then you need to find a problem that you want to solve that resonates with you. In her case, she actually talks later on, but she wanted she wanted an AI that will translate things in a different accent by voice for her to understand when she's watching movies with her sister. So it was a very simple problem. It was not like a life-threatening major problem, but that caught her into this whole NLP track. And that's a huge world with GPT-3 and BERT, whatnot, today. So I'm going to go back and talk to Tejumade. I'm going to share that piece about, when you look at a data set out there in the world today, and it is not representative of you. So her thing was when she was learning machine learning with this whole goal of, hey, I want to make it, do NLP to understand accents, translation. With language translation is very common in natural language processing application. She found that the data sets were not, were biased. And they did not, when you do a Google search, it did not understand, African food. And so she started creating a whole data set for it. So that's a different journey. And that is where I'm going to go finish up today's session, because I don't have all the answers. There are multiple ways we can go. I want to get a group of researchers to help us make more data sets inclusive, not for the sake of making it inclusive, but to solve real problems using AI to open up that limitless potential. So hold me accountable towards that, and we'll keep moving. Okay. So the next person we had, let me get out of this. The next person is a very interesting person. Let me go back. Oh, I don't want to end the meeting. I don't want to leave the meeting. I want to share the screen. Okay. I hope I'm in the right window. Yes. This is art entrepreneur Ebonique Boyd. And she wanted to democratize fine arts industry. What does that mean? So she's going to tell you. She found that, there were art dealers who were dealing with huge paintings, but they were dealing in transactions of $100,000. And she thought, what about this piece of art that it would be a $5,000 transaction? There's no market for it. And that was her passion. And she went on to that industry, brought AI in there. And I remember while we were having a conversation with Ebony, there were people in Weekly Wednesday who were saying, what is the AI for this? What is the AI model that you build? What is the algorithm? Can you show this? And that was the secret sauce of her startup. So we didn't get to hear how she built the recommendation engines and fine-tuning, the art trading in huge volume. But what she found from her personal experience was that as a a Black woman, Black entrepreneur, when she went to raise money in Silicon Valley, she did not get enough support. So she did not go the venture capital route in the end. She was super smart to get a lot of grants. She's got, a fantastic grant from Stanford also. And she ended up learning this art of, okay, when I'm going to go pitch this to people who are not believing in me and are not giving money, and they're closing the door on me, how do I protect my ideas and innovations? And she got into this whole field of patents. So what she did for us as our speaker was talk about the patenting process. And she said, how do you do this in such a way that when you have many ideas? I know many of my students, and even I'm guilty of that sometimes. I have a lot of different ideas, but do you know if the idea is viable? Is that the one that you need to pick and build out from a technology perspective? And if you go through the patenting process, that itself can help unravel things and say, is there something out there like this? Is there a competitor who's working on something but trying to solve this problem in a different way? And things like that. And how do I structure this? So one of the things I'm trying to do is I want to build a benchmark for AI ethics. So take any AI out there. If you are working in not in tech building AI, but in industry where you're buying an AI product. So it could be for HR, it could be for legal, it could be language translation, it could be for anything, right? Or knowledge management, sales automation, next best click for marketing. So you have a lot of tech companies who are coming to you as their vendor and say, I have the best algorithm. And believe me, it is unbiased and it will work for all situations, for all your customers. And we have tested this, and this works with 95% confidence. It's usually a 90s number when they release it, or at least when they put it in a sales pitch. And you have no way of finding out, is it really 95% accuracy for everyone? Is it biased? So I've spoken about the Uber case. Uber app did not recognize a driver who was a Black man, and then booted him out of the system. And then he figured out it was biased by the algorithm, and then went and sued Uber. And then Uber turned around and found that they were actually using the facial recognition API from Microsoft. So we had this discussion in a different context on your role. How do you deal with this? But think about it. If you are facing a situation where there is an AI product that you need to buy and go build on it as an API, how do you know if it is ethical? You want it to be ethical. You want it to be unbiased. You have certain demographics of customers that you want it to represent. You have certain value systems in your company or you as a person. How do you do that? And so I have an idea to go build out an AI ethics benchmark, an inclusive AI benchmark. So if you're out there thinking about this, because I know if something is a viable idea, there must be 7 other people in the world working on it. So if that's something that you're working on, I would like you to partner with me, or at least talk to me if you're open to it. But going back to the patent process, the tech, if you want to protect your tech IP, how do you go about it? And that is what Ebonic Boyd told us about the patent process, how that would help us. Okay. So the third speaker we had was Camille Eddy. That was last week. That was amazing. I mean, I keep saying amazing speakers. I feel so blessed that, we have this, my students come together with AI weekly Wednesdays, and they, and even Yash hosts the meetings, and I get to have a party, attend a party, and, get immersed by all these super smart people who are my students, who are new audience like you, who are, brilliant speakers, to just drive this discussion. I feel so blessed about it. So it was one of those moments with Camille, and I'm going to show you. Here we go. So, have you heard? Sorry.
Dive.
Sorry. So the first voice, I want to see whether you heard. Who did you hear? You're going to hear Yash's voice. I didn't share the screen. Bear with me. So I talked to you about how Women's Day, we've been covering women speakers who are coming in with all their brilliance. And Tejumade Afunja talked about getting into AI field and organizing AI Saturdays Lagos. Camille Boyd came to us, as an art entrepreneur and talked to us about how her venture led her. She runs her venture, but she also has become the expert on patents. She spoke to us. And Camille Eddy is going to talk to us next. And you will see Yash first because Yash is our host. So you will hear a little bit of Yash. Here is a small clip.
You heard Camille's story. She's a mechanical engineering major. She's a great example of why we're encouraging more women and more minorities to study in high-paying fields that traditionally they haven't always participated in math and science and engineering.
Okay. So Camille came to us from Idaho, and she's one of those people who lives her life very, very, very deliberately. So I want to see whether I can get you an actual clip where Camille is talking.
Whatever it is, whatever shape it forms, like you go in there and you make the best out of it. And that's certainly what I did. So to make that event happen for myself and for my community, foremost, right? Because that was a really big honor that I had on my shoulders, not just for myself, but for my community. It was about learning how to public speak, and it was about learning how to put myself out there and to start executing on ideas. So what happened was, I was not a public speaker when I got to college. I was one that shook and I rattled, and it was very terrifying for me at first. And my first year, I just learned how to just put myself out there and go in front of crowds and do something that I was uncomfortable with. And in that same way, the projects I was working on at that time as a sophomore, same thing. Like I learned to put myself out there, and try new things. I have 3 rules to life, and that's say yes to everything new, don't do anything twice, and then also make your accomplishments visible. And the way I came up with that was just by trying, failing, trying again, but then also succeeding as well. So when they invited me to do the speech, which introduced President Obama to our community, I was really excited to do so. I didn't have any idea what it would entail. I got to involve my family. My mom got to come down. In the background behind him were some of my closest friends standing there on stage with him. So I got to do it really with the entire community behind me. And that was really important for me. Definitely helped me solidify myself as a leader on campus. But also, I got to push other people forward and say, like, this is something that we should all be involved in. So that's just kind of the crux of why that came about. And I'm thankful that it did.
Okay. So I don't want to be showing you just videos of our past sessions because we don't have so much time on that. But Camille is quite an inspiration. And she went to HP as an intern from college and built a robotic arm. She explains a little bit of that. And then she went to Google X. She's done a bunch of internships. She's a person who lives her life very deliberately. And she's focused on workplace equity. So typically when we hear about equity in tech and in office and stuff, you always think about, hey, we want everybody involved, diverse set of people involved in building tech. So that is, again, to our point, theme on limitlessness is you need to look at anything that you're working with or using, even, if you want to get into AI, you look at the products that you're using and say, does this work for me? And what would I do? What would my role be? Have an opinion, form an opinion, play with it, test things. The good thing with AI is, it's there. You could do Google search. You could actually find autocorrect on your devices. There is all kinds of AI everywhere, right? It's, there's a lot of voice recognition, image recognition, facial recognition, and all kinds of recommendations, thrown at us all day long. You could find out what is more exciting for you and get an informed opinion. So I want to stop there. And then the next person is our next upcoming speaker. So definitely don't miss out on Camille's video. And what you're going to find is you're going to get all these links back. I'm going to see if I find anybody asking questions. I want to see where you are, whether there are questions coming up, then I could answer. Or if you see this late, if you come and ask a question, I'll be sure to come and post an answer for that. So I'm going to go back to Yash, because Yash has put together a beautiful little video to show us who is our next speaker. Here we go.
Is ever changing.
Okay, she had a beautiful intro. Let's start there.
Technology is ever changing. Innovation is always around the corner. The confluence of technology and finance led to fintech. Now we see this new wave of fintech and AI with new solutions to problems in this space. This weekly wed, we have Boa Shibram to adjust this new confluence of fintech and AI. Bhua is a fintech transformation entrepreneur at Violet Max, passionate about ESG inclusion and sustainable digital innovation. She has managed diverse global teams and launched several technology products as an executive with Capgemini in the investment banking and regulatory compliance industry. With an MBA from Columbia University, Bhua leads Women in AI, a nonprofit for North America, and is an early-stage investor in social impact startups with a mission to accelerate education and economic growth. Bhua will be at Weekly Wed, an international speaker series on AI, AV, and IoT. So let us catch up Bhua on this weekly Wednesday on March 30th at 9 a.m. Pacific time.
Okay, thank you, Yash. So let me get out of that. So I've shown you 4 women. 3 of them have already spoken to us, and we have the recording. And if you're already part of Weekly Wed, you would have access to it. Otherwise, I'm going to show you how to get to that in a minute. And otherwise, hope if you're interested in fintech or you've come from any kind of business background and you see how that comes together, Bhua has an amazing journey. So one of the things we do is we try to understand the journey of our speaker. So we are looking for inspiration, but we always have a tech topic that we are gravitating to learn from them. So the more you get involved with your questions is how we get the best out of our speakers. Okay. So talking of resources, now we are coming to, towards the end of our program. So now this is where I speed up and start showing you more resources. The easiest way to tap into everything that I'm talking about, get all the recordings and opportunities, is if you go to bit.ly/Jamthe newsletter. That's my name, JAMTHE newsletter. It's a bit.ly link. That will show you the archive of my weekly newsletter. And here is last week's newsletter. So this comes out, you'll get another one on Sunday morning, 9 a.m. my time. And I share all kinds of resources. So you will see the Limitless newsletter that I was talking to you about on LinkedIn. You can follow that. And I will share my thinking and resources on how to get to this limitless world. Yash has put together a newsletter called Weekly Wed as part of Business School of AI on LinkedIn also. So we have an article about Camille and whole bunch of other interesting stuff. So every week after Weekly Wednesday, you'll get a write-up about the past speaker and what's coming up with the recording link. So if that's interesting for you, so that's one. And then of course, I'm ready for teaching my artificial intelligence bootcamp for product and business managers course back at Stanford Continuing Studies 1 month from now on the 25th of April for 5 weeks. It's 2 hours on Mondays. I have had so many people, because I just shared this on LinkedIn. I had so many of you come in and ask me questions about certificates and whatnot. So yes, you'll find all the information here about the timing. It's 5 weeks on Mondays. It's open for everybody. And so you could join from anywhere in the world. I'm very big on a global mix of students in all my classes. So I hope wherever you are, you'll be able to join. And we will have a recording. So if you have not able to join because of your time zone, then you could watch the recording. And I would host office hour once a week on different time zones. I'll make it work for you. So if you have a certain goal, a part of signing up is you talk about what's your goal in signing up with this. So you can't just come and say, I just want to earn a certificate. The certificate towards what? Do you want to go to for a job? Are you going to apply this in your existing job? Want to make a career pivot? Is there a specific industry, separate area, project? What are you looking for? And AI is very broad. So, I try to give bring in, 4 speakers. David Kerrigan is going to be there. Patrick Lynn is going to be there. And my past students, Aisha Tugodape is going to come talk to us this time. So I'm very excited. And in here, you can find the link to download the syllabus. Some of you are asking me about the syllabus. You can download the syllabus and see week by week what is the plan, and see if that's something that's useful for you. Okay. So hope to see some of you in there. And if you have any questions about it, you're welcome to talk to me about it. Okay. So that's the course. I don't have any other course that I'm sharing this time. And I also want to congratulate my student, Divakar Bansal, for joining AWS as an autonomous computing leader in AWS. And I believe Divakar took our AV course at Stanford. Okay, so I'm trying to kind of make it easy for me to share this with you instead of random showing you many links. Though I have all of those links open ready for you. I'm just trying to say, if you go to bit.ly/Jamthe newsletter, you get to the latest newsletter and it'll come to you. And then let us not forget, while we are having all these conversations and dreams and hopes, we have a war going on, and I hope we will, stop the war soon enough. And LinkedIn has put together a resource on how you can help Ukraine. And this is an ongoing thing, even if you just catch this URL, and I link this in my newsletter every week. Hopefully, this will finish and you don't need to be, dealing with it. But so many people are uprooting their lives, and, so this is not something that's going to stop for them immediately. So there's a lot of different companies who are offering jobs and resources, so this is the place to go help our friends from Ukraine. And then I typically share the next weekly Wednesday, what the events are. This is a beautiful event that happened in Twitter Spaces that's actually on the 25th this morning, from on decentralized, how do you create decentralized user experience? So that's like the whole new Web 3.0 world. So if that's interesting for you. And then there is a very exciting hackathon that is happening in Cameroon, Africa. And our own Julian Carbonell, who taught machine learning at Business School of AI, is there. And he's big on data democracy. He wants data from local cities to be democratized, to be used by local residents and citizens to go solve local problems. So if you click on that, that actually takes you to the GitHub of that. They have all the details of this, the Hackathon Cameroon. And what they have done is it runs from tomorrow, 26 to 29. So I would like you to check it out. It's happening in this place called Adia. So the mayor of Adia is going to do a kickoff and start off. In case you're looking for where it is in the map, it's here. What they have done is they have found a couple data sets. There are a lot of public data sets out there. So it gives you all the details of that. There's even a Google chat group if you want to get involved and figure out what you want to do. A very detailed work, everything is here. What they've done is they have taken different data sets, and that's Julian's specialty. He did that with us with the mobility data specification data set. So it's found 4 data set. Here's a UN data set about water, about internet, about jobs, electricity, just about transportation. There's a World Bank data. So what they've done is you can take any of these and participate in the hackathon and work in a team and build something to solve real problems. So that's amazing stuff. So these hackathons, I'm sharing this not because, I'm a fan of Julian Carbonell's work, but participating in these hackathons, they happen, all the time, is a beautiful way to also get involved and get your, tip your toe and get experience outside of your work. Sometimes you learn something, take courses, but then you're not able to show that experience. And then that comes in the way when you try to move into a job space. And one other thing that I've been working on is, it can be a hackathon, but what if you can publish a research paper? So I've shared a few of those research papers in my newsletter. So I hope you will see those. And if that is something that you want to get involved, I would be very happy to have a conversation. Or, I've been working with a couple of my students on publishing some news, publishing some peer-reviewed journal articles and research. So before I wrap up, I want to show one amazing video. It's a short video. It's not even more about the video. It's more about the person, what they're trying to say. Carolina Gomez.
Hi all, my name is Carolina Guzman. I am from Bogota, Colombia, but I'm currently living in Barcelona, in Spain. I'm studying a master's degree in digital product management at the University of Barcelona and Barcelona Technology School. And I am passionate about working on business solutions based on technology in order to address social problems such as poverty, financial inclusion, or social inclusion. For instance, in the last years, I have been working at a bank in Colombia, developing an alternative data credit risk model. This is important because the unbanked population usually don't have financial records. So it's very difficult for them to show that they're able to pay a loan. So with this alternative data, based on the digital world, we can develop machine learning models or artificial intelligence models in order to assess the credit risk of these users. So I'm very happy to share my experience with you, and I hope you can all develop a career in the tech sector.
Okay. So I'm obviously always proud when it comes to my students, and I start off with like, here's another student of mine. So I want to make sure that I pronounce and give you the student's name. Her name is Carolina Guzman Suarez, and apologies if I call it Gomez. I have another student who's Gomez, but Carolina Guzman Suarez. You can connect with her on LinkedIn. Or as we are planning more hackathons and research work, one of the areas I'm looking at is jobs, and another area I'm looking at is fintech and finance to create new data sets or bring it in an inclusive way that works for different regions. So as Carolina was saying, when I'm sitting here in US and I say, okay, there are credit checking agency companies out there, and so they can check for fraud when you're issuing loans for somebody, and there are public data sets and systems in place, and that's very different from what she's seeing in Bogota in Colombia. So she's actually studying for digital product management at Barcelona Technology School, but she wants to build this data set which works for her country. And I'm sure that she's not alone. There must be other people who are having different ways of looking at the credit evaluation system in finance that works for Latin America. So there's a lot of collaboration here. So that's what I wanted to say. When even Tejumade was talking about food and Google did not understand African food, and she set out to go do something. Now she's doing, research and in deep learning and from Germany. I want you to think about, when you are thinking about a problem, it looks like very isolating, or when you're thinking about, I want to get into AI and tech and data and all these other people are doing something. There's so much room to collaborate. So, you could work with somebody like Carolina, or you could, publish some kind of research, and you can talk to us, talk to me, or you can just find where there's an opportunity from all the different things that I'm sharing with you and attend those events and go check them out. Okay. So before I close out, I didn't have the time to share a lot of events, and I'm going to put that all in our newsletter as I always do. So bit.ly/Jamthe newsletter will get that to you. I keep talking about research, and one of the things I want to share that I'm very proud of and happy is I have got a grant from Notre Dame, from IBM Tech Ethics Lab, and these are the amazing people who are working, who are my colleagues or peers who have got grants too. So they're working on artificial justice, on assessing Africa's policy readiness towards responsible AI. And then a lot has to be done related to children and AI. This is specific to games and social media. There's a whole bunch of them on digital identification. And this one, if you say I was talking about public data set, here they are building an open source test data set and roadmap to detect algorithmic gender biases. And this is called the Complete Picture Project. So, I would recommend look at the URL here and connect with these people. And I'll be sure to add that in the comment and add that in the newsletter too. Okay. So where is mine? So I'm working with Dr. Charles Icom, and he is joining us from Nigeria. And we are working on AIX, which is my design framework. So remember my book called AIX? There's a lot of amazing work, guys. I'm just scrolling and getting tired. Think of how much work goes in there. And so we are going to have a deliverable similarly to give about AIX, or designing human-centered AI. So, and we are going to create a public data set, and we are going to create some models to make sure that you can build characters, you can build a character for AI as in values, and like a character, film characters or movie characters. What if we can build AI and robots with characters? They have personality, we see that already, but what if we could build that with ethics in it, is kind of our proposal. And I have a framework. I've expanded my AIX framework from existing projects. And so I will be, working here is our thing. So ethical experiment on designing character for AI, Charles Icom and my name. Yeah. And that is what, so again, this is another area that's of interest to you. Come talk to us. I'm sharing all of this. So if you think about it, I started out about talking about limitlessness. And I said about, the amazing women we had as our speakers, who each showed how they've expanded their world, their communities, their career pivots into this limitless world with AI. How, and each of them took a different approach, to go learn about patents and go get grants, or to go create a whole AI Saturdays community in Lagos. Everybody did that differently. And so that's what I'm hoping that, you will find a way. You can come join us at Weekly Wednesday if that's your thing, and, learn from the speakers and collaborate, or join us on a research, or just follow my newsletter bit.ly/Jamthe newsletter, and see what you can do. Find what works for you. If you're not ready, it doesn't have to be very extroverted. It doesn't have to be all about writing. You have to find what works for you, because there are so many different approaches of going about it. So before I wrap up, the last thing I want to show is, hope you're following Rebecca Tweed. She publishes a responsible tech job board, and she painstakingly collects jobs from all around the globe and publishes that. So that is one. And just recently, I think last week, Rebecca published 22 responsible tech events highlight from 2020. So this has recording of past events that you can go watch. So I keep showing some speakers from Weekly Wednesday, or I say, hey, I attended this event, and I tend to share that on my newsletter or on LinkedIn, or here at Sudha Live. But she's compiled, and she is brilliant. Rebecca Tweed is an AI ethicist, and she's brilliant. And so when she's collated this, I definitely would spend some time to go check that out. So definitely follow Rebecca Tweed, and make sure that you check out this. So find the events, find the job board. That's my advice for you. And then one podcast I want to introduce from my friend Tina Tang, who runs Women in Big Data. And she interviewed Sudha Visvesan, S-U-J-A. It's not Sudha like my name, so don't go looking for her with a different spelling. So Sudha Visvesan, she heads data at Warner Media. And so she does an amazing podcast. So it's right here. And, if you follow Tina Tang, you'll find her link, or you follow my newsletter. I'm going to put it out there, right? bit.ly/Jamthe newsletter. And she talks about what does it take to build a data-driven culture. And how do you create that culture in your team? How do you go about creating the compliance and the structures and build customer centric systems? And it's just architectures. It's just beautiful talk. So I would definitely recommend that, and I would follow Tina to see what amazing things she's doing, because she leads this Women in Big Data. So with that, I want to wrap up. Hope this was inspiring for you and educational for you to find more resources. I would look for your feedback and tell me what works, because all through the week I'm thinking of you and I'm saying, should I collect this event? Should I collect this job opportunity? Is this a fellowship? I'm working on my own research and say, should I get somebody involved? And typically it's my students who have already know me, or you're part of Weekly Wednesday and you come, you have that connection. But I want to make sure, because when I do this Women's Day event, my goal is to not just work with the same people that I've been working with all the time, but to get into a different network altogether. And so I'm actually working on the next event, IoT Day. And those of you who know me, I do this with Roxy Stimson, and Susanna Raj is joining us since last year. And we have a whole women-centered, speakers, all women speakers event. But this time we're going to focus on research. So look out for that. And I'll be sharing more details on that in the coming next week and the next newsletters. And so look out for that. If that's, if you've been through IoT Day before, or you're saying, hey, where do I learn in a dedicated fashion? How do I get into research? How do I learn more about AI? And who are these people? This will be completely diverse from 9 a.m. Different time zones. Last year, we did this with 22 women's and 22 sessions round the clock. So hopefully, we'll get you an interesting session similarly this time. And maybe you want to be part of it. Maybe you want to come and do some research and build something with us. So connect back with me. And with that, I'm going to wrap up. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. For those of you out there your weekend is already begun. It's just beginning for me here in California. I hope to see you next week and be in touch before that. Okay. Thank you, everybody. And I will see you Friday at Sudha Live, #Sudha Live. And I will see you. And I just remembered when I was telling you, my spelling is Sudha, and that Walmart head of data is Suja, Suja. So one of the things we do as a bias without thinking is we say, that sounds like somebody I know, because that's how our brain remembers things and makes a connection. But then if you did not remember Suja as Suja, or you didn't remember the last name of somebody, you're going to miss out connecting with somebody who has amazing learning for you, or she might have your next job. And just because you didn't remember her name spelling, you're going to close out a whole door and a path of growth for you in your life. So one of the things I would say is, when we're talking about bias and diversity, it's for us to just be aware and get ourselves, more open on an everyday basis. And, I want you to think about what my last name spelling is, because it's in my newsletter. Okay. So with that, I'm going to wrap up. Thank you, everybody, and stay safe, and hope you do something to help Ukraine, from even sharing news or information. And, the link I shared on all the different possibilities that's being collated by LinkedIn and few others, and it's being shared everywhere. Hope you do your part, and hope that is over soon. And we'll get back to a peaceful world, hopefully. And I will see you all next week. Thank you, everybody. With that, I'm going to stop the recording, and I'm going to stop the live stream. So stay safe, but definitely reply back anywhere you see this. If you're coming back seeing the recording, post a comment, post a question, share your experience. If you are working on any of the topics we are working on, share your experience. We want to hear from you. We want to learn from you. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Bye. Okay. Stopping the record. And I'm stopping the live stream. Thank you.